As a product managers, and also the business and development team, we should be able to make sure that all the product that we design during any development process. Some of these products should be able to, scale. Should be able to push a production or design a production set that are able to scale in the future and also exponentially. So the reason behind this is, is because these products become assets to the company and be able to help the company grow, especially some of those startups you see out there. They're not able to come up with the products or maybe product that design product maybe that the product is not able to meet market demand. Some of the reasons that we should be able to look into and why I should be able to design some of these products that scale, exponentially and also in the future is the company is able to maybe meet the customer demand. Like for example, if you push a product out there in the market and is not able to meet the customer demand, you know, you might have the backlash from the customer feedback, and also the market should not be able to accept some of these products, very very well. Whereby you get a lot of wrong or maybe bad customers feedback from the market, and also maximize revenue potential. These companies, some of these startups, they have, crunch in the capital investments. If a company wanted to continue developing some of this product, they need capital and they need revenue. So this some of these products, if out there, they should be able to meet customers' value, and so that customer can be able to continue using them. Another reason is enhanced customer experience. When you push a product out there in the market, it should be able to be adopted by the market. And some of those, you should get your customer base. Some of those customers should be able to increase some of the value of your product that we push it, so that if you have a customer base, which is, the market niche is bigger, so you'll be able to sell some of these products and be able to increase some of your, revenue, and also expand your business. Another reason is support business growth. As you have all these, infrastructure and also hiring some of this development team or maybe the resources, you need money to be able to pay some of those resources. So supporting business growth, solution provide foundational business growth and expansion. As your company evolves and enters to new market or introduce new features, a scalable product can adapt to these changes and support your business objectives without even requiring significant redevelopment or maybe infrastructure upgrade. We can also look into reducing operation, cost. Scalable can be led to cost efficiency by optimizing resources or utilization and avoid over provisioning of infrastructure. With a scalable architecture, you can dynamically allocate resources based on demand, minimizing unnecessary expenses associated with the idle capacity of underutilized resources. Another reason we can just look into, those products that can be able to scale exponentially is competitive advantage. So in today's fast-paced market, the ability to scale quickly and efficiently can be a significantly competitive advantage. A product that can scale seamlessly are better positioned to respond to market changes, customer feedback, and competitive pressures, enabling your company to stay ahead of the curve and outperforming some of the rivals they have out there. And then future profiting. So designing scalable, future-proof, your product against unforeseen growth or changes in user behavior by anticipating and accommodating scalable requirement early in the product development life cycle. You can minimize the needs for costly re-architecture and re-engineering effort down the line as product gains traction and expand its user base. So, and also we do have maybe investor confidence. Scalable is essential consideration for investments or investor evaluation for long-term viability and potential return on investment of a product or business. So, demonstrating a scalable architecture and growth trajectory can install confidence in investors and stakeholders, making it easier to secure funding and support your product initiative. We also look into uh, uh, maximizing revenue potential. Scalable products can also support higher usage level, which can translate into increased revenue opportunity by being able to serve more users to handle more transactions. You can capture additional market and share growth and generate more revenue from your product. And also we have, meeting the customer demand. Scalable products can accommodate growth user base and increase demand without sacrificing performance or user experience. This encourages that your product remain accessible and responsive to all users, regardless on how many they are or how quickly user base grows. So what are the compelling reason behind you know developing products that are scalable? There's the building application. Require a careful consideration of various factors. You should have an application that's scalable enough, reliable, and maintainability. When you put some of the services or these application services out there in production, especially the distribution services, you should be able to have services that are very scalable and reliable, and also when someone sometimes you find some of the application are not always online. You have the fault tolerance. Some of the application they are not always online when needed by the customers. So in that case, you should be able to decide or maybe design those applications very careful, depending on which architecture you use, especially using the MVC, where we have different tier of this application, like presentation and logic and also database layer. You should be able to have how you can be able to differentiate and also segregate some of those services to be able to be independently. There isn't one fit solution, as several technology architecture and approaches can help support exponential growth effectively. So when you look into how you can continue, some of the architecture you can use out there to be able to help you as a developer or as a team to be able to come up with this products or application that they scale exponentially. Let's look into some of the architecture we can use. One being a microservice architecture. Microservice architecture is just decomposing those monolithic application that you have, which are very big, and be able to come up with a solution that enables scalability by allowing individual services to be scaled independently based on demand. We also have services like Kubernetes and Dockers and Docker Swarm, Elastic Container Services. So breaking those monolith application to microservices technology can be able to help you, scale some of your products, and especially those distributed services out there. And the next one is the cloud native technology. You can leverage cloud computing, especially AWS, Google, and Azure. So utilizing some technology like Lambda functions and Amazon RDS database, and SQL databases, or Azure functions can offload operation ahead and simplify. These are serverless architecture or serverless technology, whereby when you deploy a solution, you don't worry about how behind the scene, how these services scale. So some of those, serverless technology can help you, scale some of your products. So in also implementing auto scaling features, ensure that resources are dynamically allocated to workload demand. Auto scaling. So especially using auto scaling group in AWS, you can minimize and maximize instances, especially when during peak hours and off peak hours. Some of those instances can scale in and scale back depending on the traffic of the application. And also you can use elastic load balancer. This can be able to help you um distribute your services or distribute your traffic from different services, so be able to help the application become stable and be able to meet the customer demand. So the next one is, using asynchronous communication. So using asynchronous communication patterns such as messaging, RabbitMQ, the Kafka, or event-driven. So now you really don't have during when, for example, maybe if you have a database, backend database, that it has to talk. So those services has to synchronously talk to each other. So you don't have to wait for transaction to finish before the other transaction updates. So you can have a synchronized communication whereby those two services, they're not that complex. Events, they're not that complex that you can be able to separate them and allow the coupling of components. So the coupling of component and handle burst of more of services efficiently. So Using asynchronous services, the service doesn't have to wait for that service to finish. So you can just live there until the service finishes, and you can update the database, the backend. So the other one is the horizontal scaling. Designing application to scale horizontally by adding more instance of services or component as demand. So here we can also, look into elastic load balancing, Nginx, to distribute traffic, across multiple instances, and also implementing sharding technique for database. These are sharding is just a technology, is an architecture use how database can distribute database. You can distribute database whereby some of the column, how you can update some of the column, how you can update some of the attributes, in a database technology. So sharding help you, in any distributed system whereby, if any attribute need to be updated using CRUD method, you don't really have to be able to undergo those heavy operation to carry on some of the accrued application processes. Yeah, and the next one is, cache optimization. You can use Redis or Memcache to be able to do in-memory operation, especially those high financial operation or financial applications. So some of the data can remain, in memory, so that the application doesn't have to hit database backend all the time. And also you can continually deploy and using DevOps practices. Like for example, some of the company you find out there, they have on-demand deployment on some of their production deployments. So using CI/CD pipeline helps you, deploy this application on demand, and also embracing DevOps culture and practice facilitates collaboration between development and operation team, leading to faster delivery and improved reliability. Also, we have fault tolerance and resilience. So, designing a failure by implementing circuit breaker, especially for the microservices, whereby if a services get hit by so many denial services or maybe some of the traffic, you can implement a circuit breakers, and retries when a service is heavily used. You can just always send it fresh, whereby it can send retry replies, functions whereby, it can fetch the data which has been there in the memory of that database, and also fallback mechanism. You'd have a standby database whereby if a service is go offline, there can be a fallback mechanism to handle services disruption gracefully. Also, you can optimize database storage. You can choose, appropriate database storage based on the application requirements, such as SQL or NoSQL. If you have a database that you want to scale exponentially, so like NoSQL databases, maybe like MongoDB, which can handle some of the traffic very well, rather than the normal SQL databases. So you can utilize some of those optimized storage, so to be able to handle some of the traffic that come from any application which is online. So